podcast.
Hello and welcome to PMC English. This is Ayushi and welcome back to our segment of podcast. In this episode of podcast, we have a special guest with us, Master Veda Vyas, who is going to answer all our questions. And today's topic is fear, what ifs, and expectations and assumptions. I know most of you go through these in your daily lives, so today we'll be clarifying all our questions from Mr. Veda Vyas. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you, Ayushi.
So today's topic is fear that most of us go through, and what ifs. Like before doing something good, we generally get this question in our mind that what if that goes wrong or what if that doesn't go well. So how do we address this?
This is the most common question, what if? It can be both strength and weakness. If a person is rushing into things without thinking, asking question, what if? Giving that space and time to think helps a lot. Whereas a person who overthinks, the question what if becomes debilitating. It rather than making them go in the right direction, it will stop them from taking any action. And that's when we call it fear. Right? So if we are thinking too much kind of person, then this what ifs basically mean that we don't trust ourselves. Somewhere along the time, along the experiences that we had in life, we have lost that vitality of confidence in ourselves in whatever we are taking step forward. Usually we have seen that when this happens, people focus on what they don't know rather than what they know. You can never take action based on what you don't know. You can only take it on based on
the actions that we know.
Whatever information that we know. So even if something is not known and is required, the action required would be to find that information. But what happens is when fear is behind it, instead of finding information, we get stuck with I don't know. There is no action. So if this is happening, then it's a problem. And I think this is exactly the point that you want to ask me about what to do when this happens. Then instead of addressing the situation, because it is situation independent, now it is a pattern of behavior which is driven by a fear, right? Sometimes that fear is fear of uncertainty. You are afraid of what is going to happen. It could be anything actually.
It's like what if that doesn't go well? What if that doesn't go the way I want things to be?
Good. Now, what if it doesn't go well? What's the worst that can happen?
It might affect me somewhere.
What is the worst effect?
Gradually get me low.
No, for gradually it's okay, but right now in this step, if it goes bad, what is the worst can happen?
It's going to break me. Emotionally.
Emotionally, okay. What is breaking emotionally?
Things are not happening the way I want them to be.
So
it's kind of affecting me, it's kind of affecting my emotions. Like,
how is it affecting?
It makes me feel worse from inside.
Right?
Right.
So you are afraid of feeling worse inside. It's not about what is going to happen. It's about what is going to make it feel you like.
Yeah, maybe that way.
If you accept, it's okay for me to feel worse. Just say, it's okay for me to feel that worse.
It's okay for me to feel that worse.
Now how do you feel?
It's okay. But at certain points when, you are into something really very important to you, or, which means a lot to you. And when this fear or when this what if comes, then these things, it, doesn't pop up the way that we want it to be. So how do we address in that situation?
Now again, say the same sentence in that situation. Imagine that event and say, it's okay to feel worse. And tell me what happens after that. In your mind, imagine that very important decision that you have to take, step that you have to take, and say to yourself, it's okay for me to feel worse. We are not speaking about situation, it's about your feeling now. So if it is okay for you to feel worse, if you accept that, what is changing? Observe and tell me.
Sure. So you want me to feel that situation, or you want me to feel that feeling right now?
So that situation is creating this feeling, right? They are not independent.
So you want me to feel that situation and say to myself that it's okay to feel worse. Okay. It's like a little burden from inside. It's just going away.
Yeah. Now, because the burden went away, is it easier to take a decision?
I don't know, like, how do I put it in the words, but it's like I feel inside that it's okay. It's okay. Let go of all of those things. You can grow up, like, without even having those boundaries around you, without even having those expectations or, what ifs around you. You can grow gradually. So it's okay that if you feel worse at that particular moment of time.
So when you say it's okay, what you are basically saying is, I am open to learning.
Yeah, exactly.
The moment you are open to learning, then it's not so bad. And if things go bad, so what? I'll learn from it and I'll improve myself. So suddenly that influence of that fear has reduced significantly. This only happens when you have that core fear. Sometimes it's a chain of fears. This is only mask for another fear, that's only mask for another. So we have to get to the core of that fear and then say it's okay to face it. It's okay for its consequences to happen. And when you say that, then suddenly you will feel it's light. Why am I even holding on to all these things? It's nonsense. And you just let it go. So it doesn't happen just because you did what you did. It happened because it was your core fear. It was not just a mask fear. The mask fear is something we develop over and over, or the core is something else inside. So luckily for you, in the first question itself, you got to the core. For many people, there are many layers. You have to go behind them.
So if we can take an example of other people around, if we can address their issues also.
The point is each person's fear intensities are different. Your intensity was not too great. Because of your meditation, all the sessions that we had, your intensities were not much. So just by speaking to me right now, the shift has happened. And you practice meditation, that energy is helping. So everything is falling in place because you are doing so many things. For many people, that's not the case. So it's not so easy for them. So for them, if it is easy, already what I've told you is enough to shift them.
Yes.
If it is not easy, then they might require some professional help, or someone who understands how this goes. Because we might think it is a simple fear, but for that person, it's very difficult. Like just before, it was very difficult.
Yes.
And you have a lot of friends,
Yes.
you have a lot of mentors, you have a lot of meditation teachers who also know how to address fears,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But you brought it to me because
I wanted to get answers to those questions.
yes, you have so many different places you could get answers. Would those answers help you?
Not really.
Not really. So here you are bringing it because you have the trust and you know that it's going to get answered because I'm an expert in that field.
And also the previous sessions have helped me, bro.
So only a person who has been trained properly in identifying and guiding you in the right way can get you answers. Other people can train you, can give you a lot of information, lot of knowledge, lot of experiences. Those are all very valuable. But knowing things about ourselves, our own fears, requires special guidance. It sometimes may happen with people around us. Most of the time it doesn't, right? So teaching is not enough. You need an expert sometimes for that. So for other people, if they are able to, from this information, they get an idea about how things work. If they are able to make use of it, that's the best thing. But many times it might not be. The intensities and complexities of the situation and they might be much higher. Like for example, for you it happened in a second. I have clients who have been with me for 2 years. And I have to build their personality to this point. At each layer I have to bring them and then develop them, then develop them and develop them and develop them to a point where they'll get enough confidence to be where you are. So for such people this might not work. So if addressing fears is like a lifelong process. All spiritual sadhanas, whatever we are saying, are in the direction of addressing fears. If you see, all the philosophies that you see are about knowing yourself, means knowing your fears and overcoming them. Right? So the process is not so straightforward. If it was so straightforward, you wouldn't have so many types of meditation, so many types of philosophies, so many types of religions, and so many types of personality development programs. Because each specializes in a different way. So there are many techniques, try them, but it's not about the techniques, it's about the expert who can apply those techniques. Find the right expert if you need help. Otherwise, these should have already helped you. Like I told you, you have so many people in your life. You practice meditation, you have gurus, you have teachers, you are actually surrounded with experts.
Yes,
in a way.
actually.
Right? But still you bring this only here because each expert does something different. And you know where to go for whom. Like if you have a medical problem, you will not bring it to me. You will go to a doctor. And if it's an empowerment issue, then it will go to your teacher because meditation is a process of empowerment. Right? But if it's an issue of fear or something that is stopping you, it's a hurdle, then you come to me because I'm expert in that. So find an expert who will guide you properly. Otherwise, there's a lot of information and you have all gone through and you have already learned many things. The issue is how much are you able to apply. So like they say, you need the right kind of guru for right kind of thing. So that's also true here. So fear is not something so easily dealt with. Some fears are easily dealt with. So luckily many fears are easily dealt with. So a lot of techniques help and work. But when it's a deeper, high intensity fears which are actually not able to handle, then it's best to get an expert there.
But here I want to take a real-time example that, fear usually comes up in relationships. So I have one of my friend who, had a very bad relationship. And after that, whenever someone approaches her or whenever she gets a marriage proposal, she has this fear that, the past thing is going to repeat or it's going to spoil her future. So she's not able to get through those past experiences, and that fear is actually messing up her future things. So how do people deal with such situations?
So this is one of the complicated situation that I spoke to you about. Because it's a relationship, there might be a few years, maybe 5 years or 10 years of relationship that broke. Right? Even if it is 2-3 years, it's a long time. And if it has gone through divorce, then at least in India, people don't take divorce just like that. Right? There's a lot of family pressure, there's a lot of communal social pressure that we have to make it work, despite how torturous it is. Right? And if she has overcome all this and got into divorce, then you can imagine how much trauma she went through. Right? So first we have to appreciate that she has shown so much courage to overcome all these pressures and get out that bad relationship. Requires a lot of courage. But to rebuild life after that is not so easy, especially to get back into relationship. Doing something that is easy for her might be easy. If she has kids, that's another level of complexity again. So, and it's very depressing going through all this, and it becomes a big baggage. So overcoming all of this cannot be done by giving suggestion. It requires a lot of compassion, it requires a lot of understanding and expert guidance. I have dealt with 3 or 4 divorce cases, clients, and got them to the position where they become strong enough, independent enough to take their life into their hands again. Some people are actually in new relationships. Some people are happy with the life they have, and it's their choice. I'm happy with either way. But the point is, the shift can happen, and it does happen, but it requires long-term engagement. Usually, such clients take anywhere between 6 months to 12 months to turn around their life. It doesn't happen just like that. The reason is, it's not just the relationship that has gone bad. The relationship went bad because that person chose those experiences, and that life got developed in that way because she has chosen certain karmic, what we say, lessons. And the path that she has chosen is this. So the parents also, she has chosen that, which will represent those lessons. So it didn't start with the relationship with the husband. It's where it became intolerable. But it starts at the parenting level.
Okay.
Some people might feel my parents are amazing. Yes, parents are always amazing in some way or other. But also, your relationship, how you perceived your parents in certain aspects of your life is more important than how they treated you. So that relationship, if the parents are very protective, husband might not be protective. Husband might expect you to be independent. Right? If the parents are protective and you didn't know you are suffocating, husband is overprotective, then you'll suffocate even more. So the challenges, if you see, they are developing towards certain things. What are those life lessons, how they got developed in their life, wherever these energies have been accumulating, we have to identify the whole process and clear all those energies and reinterpret life. Sometimes we have to reinterpret past lives also. Okay? So that is the complexity of rebuilding life, usually after divorce. It doesn't happen by simply giving tips.
Because there are a lot of emotions also attached to it.
And a lot of pain is there. If the same thing happens in some other countries where relationships are not so important, you can marry and divorce, even then there is a lot of trauma there. But when you consider the same thing in India, it's 10 times more difficult.
Yes.
So keeping that into view, I would not give tips because it's not so simple. It requires proper guidance. And once that guidance and the healing and the coaching and everything is done, they rebuild their life again. They get back that confidence. Like in your case, simply, what if was a fear that was stopping you? Right? But it was a single fear, and just by making you realize that you can accept its consequences, you are moving to positive. But if this guidance did not happen, how long would you have held on to what if?
Maybe lifelong.
Maybe. Or maybe at least a few years. But it just took 5 minutes with the right guidance to make that shift. So imagine hundreds of such things, and much more intense and complicated, are in this person's life. They have chosen bigger lessons than what you have chosen. So bigger the lessons, better the experience, or deeper the pain. And this pain, again, as I told, it can be from this life because of what she has chosen in this life, or it could be layer of the past life. Especially if it's love at first sight scene. Then know that it's a past life connection, not this life, and the burden of the past life is also going to get carried this life. Not only that, but the past life personality comes up, and this personality in this life, the values are different, the conditions are different, and each will try to, there is like a struggle between the person and the person will have conflicting feelings. In the past life feelings will come, and this life feelings can come. And mismatches of facts, and it will be very confusing for the person. People are very fascinated by the concept of love at first sight, twin flame, soul. That's even difficult than not having that. Most of the divorce cases are because you found a soulmate in an incompatible life. Right? And you are stuck with that person because of the past life personality, not because in this life you have chosen. Given this choice, if the past life influence was not there, you would never choose that person because that person was not right for you. Because in each life, each soul takes a different path, different personality, different lessons. Unless the past life lessons and this life lessons are same for both the persons, it won't match. But it's become a big market. It's fantasy, like meeting a soulmate, and
Right.
love at first sight, ooh, then there are a lot of movies made on that.
It's that way.
It's built up that way.
Yeah.
But the reality of the fact is this.
Maybe that's attraction too.
That's what past life personality has taken over the present life attraction and messed up the life.
Okay. Got it.
So in each of us, we have all the experience of all the past lives that we are holding on to. In different religions, this is put in different ways. Some religions don't accept past lives. They say ancestral lives.
Okay.
What is ancestral life, for example, is your family ancestors are passing on their lessons and experiences through your family. Okay, so those past life, instead of saying past life, they call it ancestral life. Okay. So ancestral life experiences are taking over, that personality is taking over instead of the current person, and there is a struggle going on inside this person now. Because that person's experiences and their lessons and their values and life was different from this person's. So there is a struggle. And if this struggle becomes what we say conscious, usually it's unconscious struggle. If the struggle is conscious, then we call them schizophrenics. Because they'll be able to hear the ideas of the past life as if there is another person speaking inside your head. Okay? So especially if it is a negative past life or negative ancestral life, they have a whole lot of anger, then that anger will come up, which is unreasonable in this life.
Oh. This is like a new concept for me.
Yeah. So especially when you come to relationships which are like that, they are very intense. Yes. The experiences are intense. So to get that person out of it, we have to identify where this complexity is coming from. Is it coming from this life, or is it coming from ancestral or past life, or whatever concept that person experiences? And then we have to separate them and make the other personality feel that it's okay, you don't have to come. Your lesson was that, your life was that, this life is different. And then remove that influence so that this life personality has that freedom to choose their own life. So that is the reason, especially in divorce cases, you need an expert to get them out of that depression. Otherwise, it will be a long, depressing life for that person. It's not easy.
Thank you for actually giving that concept of ancestral, because it was kind of new thing for me. Moving ahead, it's like this fears, it also comes up with assumptions. Because people are usually in their assumption world thinking that, maybe that person is doing this kind of a thing, or they are back pitching, or they are not good to me. So these are all kind of assumptions that they keep building in their imaginary world. So how can we address this issue of people?
Why do you think there is an assumption?
Because it is that way, or it is portrayed that way.
Yeah, I'm asking your experience. Why do you think you are assuming about something?
Because maybe I have heard about it from others.
Yes, so?
So it's like it's creating an image of that person in that way. So it is that way.
I'm asking you, why are you not using your own?
Yes. Because when you hear or when you see certain things, it creates another image of that person.
Yes. Whose image is that?
Of that person.
No.
Of ours?
No. It is the image of the person who is speaking about the other person.
Okay.
It is the image that they hold about, if A is speaking to you about B, it is the image of B in the mind of A that is getting transferred to you.
So that kind of things, it hinders, by
This
seeing
is
the
like,
good part
just
of the
like
other
for
person.
example I told you, the past life personality has taken over. Now in this life, A's personality has taken over your personality. Now you are living A's opinion about B. It was never your opinion in the first place.
Yes.
Just because spiritually you are not strong enough to see the reality of why A is holding this opinion about B and create your own interpretation and check the facts if it is important. If it is not important, you just let it go. Oh, it's A's opinion, let it go. But instead of letting it go, you are holding on to it. That means this person A has more power over you.
Oh, okay.
So now they are controlling you.
So how do we come out of it?
No, first of all, you have to accept that a lot of people control us.
Yeah. In my day-to-day life, it happens.
Yes. So you have to choose to take charge of your life. Know that these influences will not go away by just saying, I don't want this. That never works. Instead, what do I want? I want to be in charge of my own life. I don't want others' opinions of someone else make decisions for me, right?
Right.
So now whenever I listen to, first I have to accept that, is this really important? That is the first place. Is whatever this person is speaking relevant to me, important to me? Do I waste my mind power on this? Or do I waste my memory on this? The moment you dissociate, if you say it's very interesting gossip, then you are gone.
Big time gone.
Big time gone. Okay? But if you think critically and value yourself, say, is this important for me? Do I want to give my control to this person? Do I trust this person? Answer me, do you trust that person? Yeah. Right?
I trust that person
To what extent?
to a greater extent.
So now, if you really trust that person, next question, is what they are speaking their opinion or truth?
That's what I don't know about.
Check. If you respect yourself, you will not live on opinions. You want to find out the truth.
But it affects in a, certain amount that it starts creating your imagine also.
So that's what I'm saying. Because you did not choose to be important to yourself, your self-worth is low in some way, you are giving the trust to other person. The trust can be given for any number of reasons. You can trust people because they are worthy. Like for example, in the trust here between you and me, you have experienced really a shift and transformation many times. And that is based on evidence. Now if someone asks you, whatever you speak with Veda Vyas and whatever is happening in this way, is it true? What will you say?
Yes, it's true.
From where is it coming from? From your own experience, right? Now if you trust someone not based on your experience, but because you feel comfortable trusting, because they appear to be good,
Right.
then what happens?
They take over me.
Yeah. Similarly, even in my case, because you trust me with this aspect, will you come for medicines to me? No. You will go to a doctor, not me, right? So you don't trust me with your physical health. You will only trust me with your mental health.
Yes.
Similarly, if you have a legal problem, will you come to me? No, you will go to a lawyer.
Yes.
So understanding what to trust a person, to what extent is very important. And why you are trusting there. So even if you go to a doctor or for example a lawyer, how will you trust? Will you blindly trust? Or will you check how well the person is speaking about the case? Will the person is on my side, or
Usually we check those facts.
all those things, right? Then we slowly develop trust. How well the person is handling things, right? Does he have in-depth knowledge of what all things can go wrong, how all things can be postponed, Do we want it to be postponed or do we want to complete the case early? What can be done? How compromises can be achieved? What are different strategies possible? If he is able to give all this, then your trust level really increases because he is a very capable person. If he just receives you, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Will you trust? No. But who will trust such a person? There are people who trust because they only need reassurance. They don't want truth.
Right.
So now you have to identify why you are trusting this person A. Where is it relevant? Where is this person really capable and where you should trust them and where you should not trust that person? So when you check that, then you really value yourself. If you are unaware of this, then you are lowering your self-worth. You are not recognizing your own ability to create your own opinions from your own experiences.
But there are certain moments or certain times where when that person is telling you certain things, you are not ready to accept those facts about the other person. But at the same time, it's affecting you in a way. So it's like a 50-50 kind of
check
thing.
What is triggering, what is affecting really, why is it affecting? Because it's somewhere, some fear is getting triggered there. So you need to identify that fear. So what is that fear? What is really affecting?
It's just like a question that comes up in a mind that what if that is true?
Now, what if that is true?
It's okay to be worse.
Then what happens when you say that?
I just let go of those.
So then it has no power over you, right? Yes. Then you will face it and see what is it. You know this is possibility. Yeah. You have taken that possibility into account. Yes. Now you are free to make your own choice. The possibility might happen, might not happen. Yes. Usually people react to us based on our own fears. Now if person A has certain fears, they might be good in other things, but they may be having certain triggers. They'll get triggered about something. Now, if you take the influence of that personality over you, those triggers will get transferred to you. And they will interact with your own triggers, and wherever they match, they resonate and create a lot of problems for you.
Okay.
But if you see things for what they are, okay, this person, I trust them, but they also have these triggers. So that's why they might spend more energy there than required. So this is a possibility. Knowing this, I accept that if it's okay, if that happens, can I take that risk? If I can take that risk, then I'll go ahead and do. If I can't take the risk, I'll go and verify what is the possibility of this happening with me. I'll do some experiments there. I'll test the waters. Fact checking. You'll go and meet the person, see how he feels or her. And then you'll see, that person felt that way, but my opinion is different, my experience is different. Because my experience is going to get manifested for me, not the other person's experience. Unless their influence is greater on you and their triggers have passed on to you, and you will see the same thing there. And then your experience will also become same. Okay? So in society, many such things happen, especially gossip-prone societies.
Right. And that is one of the main factors of, messing up the other things with those.
So best isolate ourselves, become immune to them. So know that every time you allow others' opinion of someone else become your opinion, you are not taking just that opinion, you are taking their triggers onto you. You are taking their karma onto you.
It's just like they are taking a charge on us.
Yes. And dumping their karma on you. So that's why if someone is very angry or very depressed, you spend a little time with them, you will feel upset.
Yeah, that usually happens.
There is an influence that's happening. Unless you are very strong, you can't handle them.
It happens generally when we hear people, telling about their sad things or telling about the things that are affecting them. After a certain moment of time, you start feeling the same thing. Yeah.
So that's why people have to be trained to be able to handle that, to not get influenced and have enough spiritual power and mental power to actually keep ourselves both compassionate as well as maintain the distance that it doesn't affect us. Okay? There's another big problem with divorce cases. After divorce, there is so much baggage that you lose friends. So you become lonely, more lonely. Both because you feel you can't trust people around you because you had bad experience in the relationship, and also the baggage is so much that people will move away from you. And there is also manifestation happening, that fear of loneliness. So the lot of cases, it requires a lot of therapy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vyas, for giving so much of, knowledge, so much of wisdom, because these are the factors that we usually go through in our day-to-day life, and if we don't address them, I guess the baggage is going to be overfull. So thank you so much for the wisdom.
Thank you.
So viewers, we were in conversation with Mr. Vyas, and I hope that all your questions got clarified in this session of podcast. So stay tuned to PMC English for more such episodes. This is Ayushi signing off.